With the recent Shrine of the Eidolon update, we got two new Eidolons to hunt, the Gantulyst and the Hydrolyst. Today we're going through the hunt process, so we'll be talking about pretty much everything: team composition, Eidolon attacks, and most successful strategies. Stick around, I'm Deuce, and thanks in advance for watching. For the sake of structure, this video will be divided in 3 parts. First, we'll be talking about how you can spawn these Eidolons. Second, it's the Eidolons themselves, attacks, weaknesses, and such. And third will be the team composition. So let's jump right in. To spawn these new Eidolons, first you have to select said Eidolon Hunt Bounty on Cetus. I don't know for sure if by selecting the others you'll be able to hunt them, but be aware that when I tried it, it was not possible. Neither does it work with free roam. In order to get the shrine to show up, you need to select the 3 Eidolon Hunt Bounty, again on Cetus. Once you're in the bounty, you need to capture the Hydrolyst first. Not kill it, capture it. For that you need 2 charged lures. Once you're done capturing the Hydrolyst and you've collected its brilliant shard, you need to go to the center of the big lake in the middle of the plains. There you'll see a small shrine in the rocks. Interact with it. Said interaction is nothing more than placing the brilliant shard you collected from the Hydrolyst hunt. Once your party places all 4 of them, 1 for each party member, the Gantulyst will show up. So far it appears around the lake itself, usually not far from where the shrine is. You can tell its spawn location because it emits a yellow light, and well, it's just huge. In order to get as much loot from it as possible and be able to progress deeper in the hunt, you need to capture it. But unlike their Hydrolyst cousin, both the Gantulyst and the Hydrolyst need 3 lures each, but more on that later. Once you've captured the Gantulyst and collected its radiant Eidolon shard, you need to repeat the same process to spawn the Hydrolyst. Head to the shrine and place the shards in it. Once you do that, the Hydrolyst will show up. It's also pretty easy to spot since its size is similar to its yellow cousin, and it also telegraphs said position with a thunderstorm around it. Once you beat it, your hunt is then completed. Now, in order to efficiently defeat both the Gantulyst and the Hydrolyst, there are several things to take into account. As with the Hydrolyst, these new Eidolons are immune to status effects, but their main weakness is radiation damage. Also, as I said earlier, the best course of action, rewards-wise, is to capture them. For that, you need 3 charged lures to prevent their escape. Bear in mind that every time you capture an Eidolon, the lures you use for that purpose will be destroyed. So either look for the lures before spawning them or spawn them and then look for said lures while the rest of the team deals with the first shield layer. Also, these new Eidolons have more shields and health when compared to the old Hydrolyst, so not only they're bigger and stronger, they're also tougher. On the subject of damaging these new Eidolons, nothing has changed. Go into operator mode, shoot their shields with your amp. Once that process is complete, then switch back to your frame and hit their weak points with everything you have. Both the Gantulyst and the Hydrolyst have 3 pair of weak spots instead of 2, the usual ones in both knees and arms, plus 2 more on their shoulder blades. These last 2 weak spots can be tricky to shoot at since they're smaller and move a lot due to the Eidolon's constant wailing. Also, weakening limbs in the earlier stages and then finishing the job later on is no longer a viable strategy. Every time you destroy a limb, the others fully regenerate, so plan in advance the order in which the team will be dealing with those. But what makes these Eidolons different? Well, let's begin with the Gantulyst. Aside from the usual attacks, there are several new additions, some of them quite spectacular and deadly. First up, the Pillars of Light. This spring from the ground, dealing a ton of damage to anything in their range. They may be hard to dodge in the heat of battle, but don't overthink it. If you see an intense light around you, move. Second, we have the Disco Ball of Death Sentient Edition, similar to Mirage's famous 4th ability, but this one has the knob turned all the way up to 11. Same as with the pillars, but instead of coming from the ground, these come from the air. There's a way you can tell this attack is coming since the Eidolon will display the shooting something in the air animation. When you see that, stay on your toes, since the beams from this attack move a lot. Third, we have the Barrier. From time to time, the Eidolon will produce a sort of field that protects it from long-range attacks and allows it to concentrate its own attacks on a much smaller area, making it all the worse. Also, when enough limbs have been taken out, the Gantulyst will begin spamming these barriers constantly, and I mean constantly. which in turn makes it even harder to shoot it. On top of it all, it also uses tremors that not only can deal damage, although this is not 100% confirmed, but also makes your screen shake like crazy. Now, you can somewhat avoid said screen shake if you disable that option in the display tab on your menu. I like to keep it on because I find this extra challenge fun, but not having your screen go haywire can be really useful when aiming for those weak spots. The Hydrolyst comes back with new attacks as well. It's surrounded by a permanent thunderstorm that deals significant amounts of damage if you get struck by it. It also spawns something called Bombalist Bloom, which is a sort of purple portal that links with nearby Bombalists, making them invincible, so make sure you destroy these things with your amp. Also, the Gantulyst has Hallowed Ground Sentient Edition, so if you think some Warframes have a lot of power range, think again. This is quite literally a field of magnetic procs. It highlights the ground much like Oberon's, so be mindful of where you step. The Hydrolyst also has a massive attack, much like the Terrorist's Sky Shot, but this one deals more damage, covers a much larger area, and lasts a lot more, so be aware of that shooting in the air animation. Also, both the Gantulyst and the Hydrolyst have the same attacks as the Terrorist: the Ground Pound, the Hack and Slash, the Flying Lasers, and the Stomp. But their size and damage are much bigger. Also, in the case of the Flying Lasers, the Gantulyst version has a homing mechanic that makes them harder to dodge, and instead of the typical laser, it's more like a yellow ball of doom. The Hydrolyst version is a thundercloud of sorts that produces even more lightning and deals a ton of damage in on itself if it spawns right on you. Since one-shooting limbs is out of the question most of the times, you need a really good team to pull these 3 hunts in one night. We usually run a Lure Keeper to prevent them from getting destroyed. This Keeper is a Blessing Trinity. Basically, mod her with power duration, power efficiency, and enough power strength to hit the damage reduction cap. The other 3 frames on the team should be a mix between damage buffers, mainly Covenant Harrow for both the invincibility stage and the crit buff, Roar Rhino, Electric Shield Volt, Vex Armor Chroma, and lastly Oberon, with Smite Infusion, which is the augment for his first ability that grants a ton of radiation damage, and also for the utility that Hallowed Ground brings to the table, since if you stand on it before the Eidolons AoE magnetic proc hits you, it will prevent most of the energy drain without having to run away from the explosion. As for weapons, same concept as with the Terrorist: high damage, critical base primaries and secondaries modded with as much radiation damage as you can muster. Things like the Opticore, the Lanka, the Vectis Prime, the Rubico, the Pandero, the Euphorna Prime and such will really come in handy. These new Eidolons are a blast to contend with. It's a hectic and chaotic fight that needs a lot of team cooperation and the right setups to succeed. And the payout, it's not bad, although it'll be even better once the arcanes from the raids get added to the reward pools. So pick your team and enjoy the challenge. On a personal note, I've been able to run 2 full hunts a night, but I believe you could do 3 in that same amount of time, meaning 9 Eidolons in total. For my part, this has been all for now. If you enjoyed the video or you found it interesting, please consider giving it a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more Warframe content and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with everything. Again, thank you very much for watching. Whatever you are, have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.